Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Sunday macro morning over here from not Helsinki, Finland, but the middle of Greece as we get prepared for the next big week to come. This is the last week of September, so we got monthly closures, we got quarterly closures, and then I wanted to follow up on some other high-term timeframe ideas, of which, if they are going to be coming to fruition, we do expect over this next 14-day period to really produce these major moves. Anyways, with that in mind, I want to waste no more time. I maybe want to show my Instagram really quickly. Of course, there is a link in the description below. It's just Bitcoin trading related content and also, random travel pictures as well. All right, sweet. So let's just jump into it here, starting off with the 2-day time frame chart. This is one that we've been following for the past about almost 8 days now, and it is once again having a closure tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And what essentially is a signal? It is a volatility and momentum signal. Volatility represented by BBWP, which represents the dispersion of returns, of course. And anytime that we do see the 2-day BBWP get down to extreme lows, which are defined as anything below 10 percentile or more, the expansion phase from these extreme lows has led to an average move of about 35% in this case, almost 35%. Anyways, we've observed many of these in the past, 4 to 5 years now. We've seen several even in the past few months, of which if you've been on this channel, you probably recognize these moves over here. And it does have a very, 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 very high hit rate. The problem with this is that when we're talking about hit rates on any sort of a signal, these are statistics, not certainties. But in this case, anytime that we have seen this setup coming in from these extreme lows over here, the stochastic oscillator has gone the correct direction on that volatility expansion almost 84.5% of the time. As of right now, the 2-day stochastic momentum is pointed to the downside. And with tonight's closure, it will be remaining with downside pressure if Bitcoin closes below 19,350. Of course, as of right now, we do have volatility expansion. We have both the BBWP above the moving average with a positive slope and the moving average having a positive slope as well. So if that maintains into today's closure and we continue to see downwards pressure on price action, the probabilities of an expansion towards the downside, are rather high, I would say. Here's the thing, though, and maybe this is just me, maybe this is just my own echo chamber, but it does really feel like one of those times where everyone in the fucking mother is bearish. So, it does make me a little bit concerned, but in this case, because we did see this signal technically born upon the 18th of September, or about the 18th of September, this would be day number 8 of this signal upon closure, meaning that the average days that we expect for this signal to play out, which is just under 19 days, so about 2.5 weeks, would give us about a week and a half on average to expect for this move to occur. So as of right now, we have seen a pretty decent move from that signal given, about 11%. But if we were to measure that against the statistics for this move, my raspy lesbian voice is getting in the way right now. Apologies on that. It still wouldn't even be within the context of the first standard deviation, which is where we expect about 68% of the results to fall between. That would give us a range actually between about 25.5% all the way up to 44%, with the average kind of in the middle there, obviously at about 83. Anyways, in this case, if we were to play around with these statistics, 25.5% from that signal given would give a sort of a range between about $15,000 to $16,000. That's the lower end of the first deviation, I should say. So if we're going to see this move happen in the next, let's say basically week to 2 weeks, essentially, then we really do expect this next week to play, toward, or at least have continuation towards the downside, and for these closures to maintain below the 2-day stochastic momentum pivot. If Bitcoin closes above, the signal is nullified. So I want to be very, very specific about that. So if it closed above 19,350, then this was essentially the signal, 11%. Yeah, it's certainly on the lower end. In fact, I would say it's, a little bit of an outlier, be a bit of a disappointment there, but ultimately something to be aware of coming into today's closure. Anyways, moving on, I wanted to find some confluential or congruential data over here to kind of hopefully help out this case, or give us maybe some warning signals as to, maybe it's not going to happen, of which, again, 19,350 today day, by closure, that's the big one. But here, if we go to CME, which again, CME is not trading over the weekend, it opens up a little bit later on Sunday and realistically it starts on Monday, we did observe hidden bearish divergence, a phantom drive over here on the 12-hour time frame with Friday's closure. So I did think that that was rather interesting. If we also line that up with the weekly and even daily stochastic momentum for CME specifically, it maintains downside pressure as long Bitcoin is closing below 19,420. This number very much in alignment with the 2-day time frame momentum pivot. So I would say that, again, these sort of numbers, keep them in mind. If Bitcoin starts to close above, we're very likely looking at a nice move, ultimately to above $20,000. Again, anyways, if we go over here to the weekly, I do want to remind myself that the weekly will also open up with downside pressure on price action, assuming Bitcoin closes below 19,000, basically 900. I think it's about the same on, actually spot's even higher than that, 20,350, and for the daily on spot is showing about 19,000 bucks, but I don't really look at that as like super relevant for right now. I really don't trust these indications over the weekend or short-term timeframes for that matter. Anyways, so we got through that. We've got through that. I guess we could very briefly go through the lower term timeframes. Again, it's a tightening range here. Let me actually go to, we can just work off this. Well, should we work off this one? Should we work off this one? It's all the same, really. But I'll use spot for right now because obviously CME is not trading over the weekend. It's the same thing as what we've been saying, however, over the past, like going all the way back on over here, basically, which was 19th of September. So yeah, about a week almost now. And that is this. With the tightening range, obviously we are looking for a breakout, relatively sooner rather than later. We can see that 4-hour BBWP is starting to trend down here. I still want to see it get a little bit lower, so we're probably looking at a breakout, Monday, maybe Tuesday, but probably Monday. What would essentially confirm a breakout to the upside or the downside? Well, to the upside, same thing as before, as is the downside. In this case, it would be a 4-hour closure above 19,675 or 19,700. If you just want to round up there. At that point, I would ultimately be looking for a nice move up somewhere around 20,500 to 20,550 with very likely a short-term stop along the way at about just above 20,000 bucks at the 618 retracement here, just playing off of these. Of course, if we do see this come to the downside, well, that would be confirmed on a breakdown below 18,500 or maybe just slightly below there. At that point, we'd actually have a measured move based off of this as a descending triangle, which is kind of finicky right there, but it is in there, somewhere around mid-17s, and obviously that's going to play into the 2-day analysis, of which that gives us targets lower over the next couple weeks towards maybe even as much as 15,000 to 16,000 bucks, which to me right now, seems a little bit far-fetched, but I'm just reading the statistics. That's all I'm doing. That's all really that I hope to do on a channel like this. I'm not trying to be like a signal service or anything like that. Despite what anyone says, you kind of draw your own conclusions from this. I'm based for myself. I don't even trade off of this. I trade short-term timeframes, based off of systems. So anyways, let's now get into what I think is rather interesting for kind of helping round out this case. I won't cover Dixie today. We did that yesterday because there's obviously nothing new there. But what I did not cover yesterday was this, traditional markets, which of course there is a strong relationship, a strong correlation between traditional markets, especially the tech sector, and Bitcoin, basically all markets. And why is that? Because we're looking at a fucking liquidity bubble and, everything kind of moves together. Anyways, in this case, on Friday for NQ futures or NASDAQ futures in this case, we did observe hidden bearish divergence on the weekly actually confirmed. And also, you could also say that that's, good portion of that move's played out. It's already retested around the June lows. But here's the thing. It is testing into the 200 simple moving average right here, which, yes, it's the second time basically in the past few months. Personally speaking, I've never been a big fan of getting super fucking bearish into a region like this. So I would say, hey, just be aware of that. Obviously, this was like the perfect buy in the March 2020 Rona dump there. And you can see long-term, it hasn't really been the best area to be shorting into. Of course, 08, a little bit different in this case, but, just something to be aware of. I'd really like to see a full-on closure below there before I look for like a market meltdown. And that's what makes me a bit concerned, seeing as the market in general seems very biased towards the downside continuation like now. So, could we open up on a bounce, maybe play up to 20,500 or so, assuming that the short-term time frame ranges retake those highs? Yeah, definitely possible. That'd probably be good enough to get a lot of people out of their positions. Anyways, let's see how long this video is right now, 9:35. Yeah, I think that's probably good in this case. Again, big focus on the 2-day time frame closure tonight. If Bitcoin does close above 19,350, that would be a good indication that this is not the place to get super bearish from. But as long as Bitcoin's closing below there, the probabilities remain to the downside, risk remains to the downside, and I'd have to say that the downside is significantly more likely just based off of simple mathematics. Other than that, is there anything else that I want to get into? No, I don't think so. Obviously, we have the new program going on, but I figure that is what it is. So sweet, yeah. I think that's a good place to leave it off right now. I want to be wishing you the best as always. Really excited to meet a few of the locals here from the community, which is really fucking cool. Mr. Alex Switch, fuck yeah, man. Looking forward to that as well. Met Elliot from Elliot Trades the other day. He's an amazing person. Absolutely fucking love the guy, and just have, it's one of those guys that I kind of came up with on YouTube, so it was very special to meet him. And I only have good things to say. Other than that, it's been a nice fun day and a nice fun week here. We're still going to be here for a little bit more, so I would say while we are over here in Greece, understand that our response times, they're going to be limited. Our connections are limited, unfortunately. We're trying our best, of course, but that is just what it is, and hopefully that just makes sense. All right, sweet. Other than that, much love, take care, and see you hopefully soon.